Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be having a look at the new Apple iPad Pro M5, which is a very small upgrade from the M4. So the M4 last year was a huge upgrade because we got the new Tandem OLED display, very thin form factor, and the new M4 chip. So the M4 chip came out last year before the M4 chip in the Macs. This year we saw Apple release the M5 chip in the new MacBook Pro 14-inch only, and also in the iPad Pro M5. So we've got the M5 chip in two devices now, but not in the bigger M5 Max and the M5 Pro. So let's check out what's new, what stands out, and who this iPad might be for. If you're considering upgrading, which I wouldn't, just as a starting point, but anyway, we'll get into that later, or just curious about what Apple has changed in this iPad, this video is for you. So let's get into it. Sit back, relax, as normal, and we'll tear the iPad apart and have a look at it. So as always, the packaging with Apple is very sleek and minimalistic. It's exactly the same as last year. You get the same USB-C charging cable only, no fast charger in it, which is not a surprise here. So you're paying a lot of money for this iPad, and you get a very simple box experience, and it does not feel like the price of the iPad. So I've got the 1TB model here with cellular. So this is £1,800 in the 11-inch model, which is a serious amount of cash for a tablet. It's probably one of the most expensive tablets you can buy on the market. So I want to find out in this video, is it worth paying this much for a tablet? Because last year I ditched the Pro and went for the Air. So the Air for me was exactly what I needed for my creative needs on the channel and other work I do. And I found from the past year, it's been absolutely fine. So the big bugbear for me on the Air is the 60Hz display, which I don't like at all. The actual quality of the LCD display is very good, but the 60Hz panel is just annoying on the device. That, especially at the price level I paid for the 512GB at £900, it should be 120Hz. So this is a big bugbear of mine. So the real reason I'm looking at the Pro this time is because I wanted to go for the Pro Motion display, but the cost upgrade is huge. So it's £800 or £900 up to £1,800, and nearly double the price. And I just don't feel, for me, at the moment I don't know for me whether it's going to be worth doubling the price to get the Pro. So this is just a first impressions video on the new M5. I did briefly test out the M4 last year, and I was very impressed with the Tandem OLED. The Tandem OLED on the M5 is as good as the M4. It's exactly the same display. It looks great. So let's get off. We've looked at what's in the packaging. Then let's kind of look at the display. So the display has not changed at all. It's the same Tandem OLED display, which is fantastic. Really good peak brightness. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail because we did the M4 last year, and I don't want to go into a full breakdown of the display on this, because I want to go into the main key changes on this, which is the M5 chip and the cellular changes on the Apple C1X modem. And also I want to look at whether it's actually worth going for the Pro at all, or whether it's worth just sticking with the Air. So the display, as I mentioned, Tandem OLED display, fantastic display. It looks great. 120Hz Pro Motion, and you've got 11-inch iPad Pro and the 13-inch. So I went for the 11-inch. I was going to go for the 13-inch, but first of all, cost-wise, because it pushes over £2,000 on the 13-inch with the terabyte of storage. And also, if you go for the 13-inch, you have to go for the more expensive keyboard and everything like that, so it just pushes it too expensive for me. So, and also, I find the 13-inch tablets pretty big to carry around, especially when you've got a laptop as well. So I've got a 16-inch MacBook Pro, and I don't really need a big tablet to go with it. So I went for 11-inch iPad Pro. I have to say the 11-inch has been fine for me over the past week or so since I've had the tablet. I've not had any problems with it. It would be nice sometimes if you're doing video editing or anything like that to have the extra screen real estate. We'll talk about that later though, because I want to talk about whether it's actually easier just to get your MacBook out or do it on a tablet for certain tasks, which the iPad Pro is aimed at. So no problems with the display, same as last year, great. I didn't go for the nano texture option, so that's worth looking at if you are out in the bright sunlight a lot, because the display is quite reflective. In the English winter we're coming into at the moment, there's no problem with it at the moment having the non-nano texture option. It does add an extra £100 or $100 onto the price, just to bear that in mind. So now let's get into performance. So Apple have, as we all know, I've just mentioned, have updated the M4 chip to the M5 chip, and they're saying there's a couple of key changes here on the M5. So the M5, they're describing it as a giant leap forward for the AI on iPad. So the reason why they're saying this is because we've now got a whole new neural engine on the neural accelerator on the M5 chip compared to the M4 chip. So most people will not have a clue what this means or care what it means. But for the professionals out there, what it means is that you can now run intensive AI tasks faster, and a lot faster, because it's a whole new redesigned model on it. So if you're doing 3D modeling in AI, language modeling, or even AI image generation on a frequent basis, which needs to be done on the device, then the M5 chip is going to notice a big increase in performance for you. So the M4 already did this very well, but the M5 is going to be a big step up. So it's described as that AI on the biggest leap forward for AI on iPad. And as we all know, Apple do not have the biggest selling point when it comes to AI, because Apple Intelligence was a disaster. So there are also some other gains on the M5 chip as well, like faster video rendering times. Apple are describing it as about 1.6 times faster in ray tracing, gaming, video generation, gaming generation, all this kind of stuff. Things that you would normally do on a laptop. So Apple are really pushing this iPad Pro at people who do not want to use the laptops either on a regular basis, or people would actually just go for the iPad instead of having a laptop. And I think this is a really good area for discussion, whether or not you would go for the iPad Pro or whether you go for a MacBook Pro. So they've got the MacBook Pro 14-inch, which is now available with the M5 chip in. That starts at about 1599, which gets you 16 gig of RAM and 512 gigabytes of hard drive space. So you look at the iPad Pro's starting point. So you start at 999, which gets you no keyboard, nothing, just gets you the base iPad 11-inch, no cellular at all. It gets you 256 gigabytes of storage and 12 gigabytes of RAM, which has now been upgraded. So this is another area Apple have upgraded the chip. So we now get 12 gigabytes of RAM on the 256 gigabyte model and the 512. And we now go up to 16 gigabyte, which is my main reason for choosing the 1 terabyte version. It's not only did I want the storage, but I also wanted the faster, I also wanted the same RAM. So we've got an increase in RAM on the 1 terabyte. So 16 gig, which is nice to have. And we got 16 gig last year, but the base model on the M4 last year came with 8 gigabytes. Also, what is worth noting here, and this is really techy now, but it's really important to point out, is that the RAM is faster. So the memory bandwidth last year was 120 gigabits per second, and it's now 153 gigabits per second. So it's quite a big increase in memory bandwidth. So if you're doing intensive tasks, you're doing a lot of multitasking, you will notice that the iPad will feel faster, especially when you plug it into an external display. I think this powered with iPad iOS 26 gives you a very Mac-like experience on the iPad. So the 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte models get more RAM and also get you a full M5 CPU with 10 cores. So the M5 on the 256, 512 is cut down to 9 cores. So just little things like that make a difference. If you go for the lower storage options, not only do you get less cores and less memory, which you wouldn't get on the MacBook, you also get you also don't get the keyboard and everything like that, and you get less storage space. So it just feels like a big downgrade to be going for that £1,000 base model iPad Pro 11-inch. I think if you're considering the Pro, I would look at the 1 terabyte models mainly. I mean, the base models are quite good if you just want that ProRes to screen and nothing else. You do not care about anything else on the Pro, because the M5 chip on the base will be absolutely fine. But if you are a professional user and you want to go for you want to use it for professional things, you want to go for the 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte with that increased performance and more RAM as well. So is the iPad Pro worth considering then? So if you look at that, we've talked about this, the base M5 MacBook Pro is 1599, which comes with the keyboard, the screen, everything included, and it's fully customizable up to more RAM and everything like that. So the iPad Pro, 1 terabyte, £1,799, and if you're going to be using it as a laptop replacement, you want to go for the 13-inch. 13-inch is going to take you over £2,000 for the cellular and terabyte cellular model with the 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte of storage. I've used the iPad Pro before, I've used the Mac before, so I'm always drawn back to the Mac because I like having a trackpad, a bigger trackpad. I know you could buy an external one, I know you can use the Magic Keyboard, but the trackpad on the Mac is better, hands down, it's just a better trackpad. The keyboard's nicer, the screen is really good on the Mac, it's a mini LED display, which I appreciate is not as good as a tandem display on the iPad Pro. And the screen isn't detachable. So I think it really comes down to how you use your workflow. So if you use a lot of the Pencil a lot, Apple Pencil Pro obviously can't use it on the Mac. If you use the Pencil a lot and you like to be able to detach the screen and carry it around, then the iPad probably is worth it. But bear in mind, the iPad iOS, it still isn't Mac OS. So you still need to make sure that the software you use is fully compatible, whether it's got the right apps that support it. And it is a big if, and you can't just use it like a Mac. It really isn't just a Mac at the moment, it still isn't. And I don't think it ever should become that, because the iPad is something else. So I want to hear from you. So do you use the iPad at the moment? What do you use it for? What kind of things do you kind of use it with? What applications do you use it with? Is it important for you to be able to carry it around separately, or would you go for a cheaper one? This is why I went for the Air, because the Air is it's got the M3 chip in it, plenty of power. I've used Final Cut Pro on it. I've done image generation on it, everything like that, and it still feels like a fast iPad, apart from that 60Hz display, which is the main reason I went for the Air. So I think if the Air had 120Hz ProMotion, I think a lot of people would go for the Air, in my opinion, because I think the Pro is overkill for most people. But there are going to be people out there who want to use the Pro's features. But I would go for most people. I think just go for a Mac and an iPad Air. I think it will suit you fine. So I've done also the Final Cut Pro app on the iPad. It just isn't as good as the Final Cut Pro full version on the Mac. It just isn't quite there yet. There's lots of features missing from it, like I tried the other day just to separate the audio tracks from it. You couldn't do it. You have to do it on a separate. You can't separate audio from video and then delete the audio track. You have to keep it all together. So just disable it. It just doesn't work as well as the Mac. So I found myself going back to the Mac, and this is something I paid £1,800 for. Bear it in mind. So it is a big consideration. So please do let me know what you think. What would you go for? Would you go for the Mac, or would you go for the iPad Pro? So I've also I wanted to get the cellular model. So I don't normally go for cellular iPads because I'm usually a big fan of just connecting my phone, tethering it, and saving the price on having a double cellular plan with both phones and the iPad. But in this case, I wanted to try out Apple's new C1X modem because they've changed the modem in it. So this is another upgrade we've got on this iPad M5. We've got a very efficient C1X modem, as we saw in the iPhone Air, and I'm a big fan of this modem. It runs really well on the iPhone Air, it gets good signal, it doesn't drop out ever, and the Wi-Fi is very good as well. So the iPad Pro performs excellently on cellular and also on Wi-Fi so far. I think it's an excellent addition to the iPad lineup, and it's also more efficient. It doesn't get warm or anything like that when you're on cellular, which the old iPads used to on cellular. And also we now have fast charging too on the iPad, which is when we get onto the battery life. I think we just need to talk about the accessories as well. So the accessories are all the same as last year. I've already got an Apple Pencil Pro, which is one of the best pencils on the market. The Apple Magic Keyboard, easily one of the best premium keyboards on a tablet on the market. I've used Android ones and they're all even the Samsung ones aren't as premium as Apple ones, but they cost silly amounts of money. So you're looking at £390 nearly for the Apple Keyboard Pro with the 13-inch iPad Pro. And it just makes it so much money. If you go for the iPad Air, it's a bit cheaper and the keyboard is very nice. I've got an Apple iPad Air keyboard. Very impressed with it. It works very well. So I don't see the need, in my opinion, to go for the keyboard case and the iPad Pro. If you're just using it mainly as a tablet, I think just keep the cost down and use it with an external keyboard from Logitech or something like you've got lying around the house, which I've done, and it works really well. So camera and audio, all the same, nothing's changed. It's very good. It's got 4 or 5 speakers on there. My studio quality microphones, all excellent. So the main other upgrade on this is battery life. So battery life has been increased a bit. So we've got more efficiency on the M5 chip. We've got less power drain. We've got faster charging now. I think it's about 60 watt, and it just charges very fast. If you plug this in, charge it up, it's noticeably faster than the iPad Air, for example, on the M4 iPads. So should you upgrade then from the iPad Pro M4? So hands down, I think most people know it's just a silly upgrade. I wouldn't bother. You don't need it. The M4 Pro chip is fast enough and it's fine. If you are a power user and you need that extra performance, and if the faster charger will make a big difference to you, use it out on the road a lot, and that cellular is really important, then it might be worth the upgrade. So just bear that in mind. It might be worth it because it does give you faster cellular performance, better coverage, and it also gives you faster performance on the M5 chip with faster memory. So it may be worth it. So just if you're a power user only. If you look coming from the M1 or the M2 or the M3 iPads, then yes, it's probably worth the upgrade for that display alone, the Tandem OLED, and also the faster M5 more efficient chip. So overall then, my first impressions of the iPad M5 are positive. It's a very good, it's got a gorgeous display as the last generation did. Build quality is unmatched in the tablet sector. I'll be testing it over the next few weeks, so stay tuned for more thoughts on the iPad Pro M5. Now it stacks up against other devices and look at it compared to the Samsung S11 Ultra, which I've also got, which I do like, but I'm going to compare it to that as well. I'll do some more tests on cellular, take it out and about, and let you know how I found with it, how I get on with it. So get involved. What do you think of the iPad Air M5? Is it a complete waste of money, or is it something you think you'd buy? So let me know down below, and please subscribe and a like would be great if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll speak to you next time. Thank you.